Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here with Brother Bro, and it's time to review Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. It's a new A24 horror thriller from Helena Rain. You got a great cast here, one that I was very excited about. It's the main reason I was excited to see this movie. You have Maria Bakalova, really in the first role since Borat? At least the first major role that I care about. Yeah. Rachel Sennett coming off of Shiva Baby, Amanda Stenberg, who was great in The Hate U Give, and good in Dear Evan Hansen too. Let's just put that out there. It's like a great cast of people who just need more juicy roles, and everybody gets their time to deliver that juice. Maria Bakalova, even though I did want more from her, has real range and acting chops. Like, she does have this really serious dramatic scene that you buy. It was great to see Amanda Stenberg outside of the young adult genre, and I think she has some real acting chops. Like, she's kind of endlessly watchable. And then Rachel Sennett, like, huge amount of laughs for me. Like, she and Pete Davidson were definitely giving me the most laughs throughout. But I also think, like, Rachel Sennett, like, went there. Like, there were some scenes where she was going way over the top, but you actually bought that she was terrified. Yeah, the movie knows exactly how to use everybody. And then the two other talents in this film who I haven't seen before, Mihala Harold and Chase Sui Wonders, they were both great. And so now they're actresses that I will be looking forward to seeing in upcoming films. The movie has a really great loose comedic tone that allowed these actors to, like, have fun. It felt like they experimented a lot with the types of reactions that they would do, and they ended up using some that felt like a lot of filmmakers wouldn't use them because they seem like they're gonna go too big, but it's actually perfect for the characters. Watching this film made me realize how probably difficult it is to direct an ensemble and have a scene where everybody is reacting differently to something, or when there's overlapping dialogue, like, to get that right. Maybe I was made aware of it because sometimes it was just like a little off for me, or like the humor wasn't quite hitting because you need to make all this overlapping dialogue feel natural, but for the most part, I think the director and the actress pulled this off pretty well. The movie's really a horror comedy, a slasher, and a great whodunit because it really lets you suspect every single person in the movie, and you're even suspicious when the movie wants you to suspect people because you're like, well, here's the part where the movie wants me to suspect this person, so I'm gonna try to suspect this person. And it was like a really fun game for me to play while watching this movie. And who actually done it, ends up being kind of surprising. I think that some people will kind of be led on to what's going on maybe in the middle of the movie, but others will be pretty surprised. It's definitely a unique conclusion, I'll just say that, and I appreciated that about it. I agree that it did a great job making you guess throughout, but also that it's one step ahead of you. I was really happy with where it went, and I don't think I've seen a whodunit with this sort of spin on it. It kind of felt like an original take on a mystery genre in the way that, like, Rian Johnson's Knives Out was also very unique and took you in directions that you're not used to for that kind of film. However much I like the conclusion of the film, I feel like there was more that could have been done with the characters. There's a lot of them feuding, and some of it feels like very shallow feuding, some of it feels a little bit more serious, but it wasn't entirely clear to me, like, if there was a through line to all of this infighting. I thought there was a through line. I thought it's really kind of just about not truly knowing your best buddies that you've spent so many years around, and all these, like, secrets kind of come out. But that's the thing, is I didn't really know if they were best buddies or not. It didn't feel like this is a really tight-knit group of people, and then they're, like, learning all these shocking things about each other. It's like there was something, like, volatile and strange to these relationships in the first place. It feels like it's about how, like, many different little things can come together and, like, topple this group cohesion. But I wish those little things, like, added up to something kind of greater. And I wish maybe for a little bit more backstory, especially with Maria Bakalova's character, who seems like she's kept intentionally elusive. I mean, I think everybody kind of had a backstory. And I also think that for the slasher genre, you rarely get movies that even attempt to, like, give their characters anything or have the characters discuss anything beyond the main physical conflict. So I actually did appreciate that the movie went there when compared to other movies in its genre. I agree it didn't go so far where I'm, like, contemplating, the characters and everything like that and their motivations necessarily. Like, it's hard for me to articulate because it's not that they didn't do it. Like, you're right that they did have character moments, but the moments were often focused around something that was a little bit superficial, like, lying that you like a friend's podcast. And sometimes it doesn't feel like you're supposed to take the characters seriously. I know this film was kind of trying to be about people who like think they have problems, but they don't really. They're very privileged. But I don't know what the point is in making like kind of these straw men of like Gen Z that are just, you know, these like spoiled rich girls. I would rather them be like intelligent people with legitimate grievances. And sometimes it was kind of towing the line where it was like, I don't know if you're just like making fun of them. I don't know if you even like these people as like the creator of this film. And even the character who was like very serious, even her grievance was something you were kind of supposed to laugh at. Like the upper middle class moment, which was very funny. Like that was one of the moments where I laughed in the film.
I think some of the problems were pretty serious, no? I think you're maybe expecting a little bit too much for the genre that this movie is playing in.
Well, so, okay, so I agree with that because generally for slashers, you often like condemn the characters so that you can kill them and no one feels bad. They often build up characters who are a little silly to begin with. Like they're stoners, they have too much sex, so they just have to get like killed with a knife. So yeah, I'm probably expecting a little bit too much of that. But in a way, I think the bar has been raised with like, you know, more of this artful A24 horror. We can level up our expectations for a film like this a little bit.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't as thought-provoking as like the best of A24 psychological horror, but it's also not really a psychological horror. I actually did appreciate, though, that the movie kind of moved on from where the main threat is kind of wondering who done it, and then it becomes like the interpersonal conflicts of the group. It kept the movie fresh as it went along, and I felt like that was all just a bonus to me. I mean, sure, it didn't go like way above and beyond in terms of giving the characters so much depth and development that my heart is aching for them, but it did more than like I expected. And for a movie that really is just the kind of movie you take your friends to, you have fun, you guess who did it, and then you can shit talk the characters after. Like, I think it did go above and beyond in that sense.
Did
like,
you have fun at this movie?
I did have fun at this movie, in fact.
Yeah, that was fun.
If you like characters in your media to be likable, you might have a problem with this movie. But I actually enjoyed that every character kind of like gets peeled back a little bit and kind of called out. I also think that the movie's very well shot. Like, even from the opening scene when Maria Bakalova and Amanda Stenberg are just like hanging out, being girlfriends, like those scenes were really beautifully shot. And for a movie that takes place in like a dark house the entire time, the darkness wasn't annoying because they found enough ways to like use light and color and keep it creative. I think the end of the movie slightly felt like a fumble to me. Like the very last line kind of felt like, what are you doing with that, other than just being like, phones, guys? Like,
yeah,
they like phones.
There were some moments in the film where I wasn't sure if the movie was doing a like phones thing or not.
I think that it had a lot of fun kind of picking apart some of the language that Gen Z uses.
Like the gaslighting part, I actually think that was good. Like they dived into that.
I enjoyed a lot of the dialogue and the banter in this movie too. Overall, maybe the movie doesn't stand out to me as being like one of my favorites of the year or anything like that. It's just a really fun movie. I think it serves its purpose.
Movie's a pretty good time. Give it a solid 7 out of 10.
I would give it a 7 out of 10 as well. Take your friends to the theaters, wait for it to be on demand, get in your jambies, watch it at a sleepover. Lots of good uses for this movie. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.
How many bodies are there in your house?